Hey beautiful people, my name is Tim Lee and welcome to my channel where I teach a whole bunch of stuff on art and specifically the world of caricature and cartoon. In today's video, another critique for another one of my Patreon students. Patreon is an amazing place to support your creators that you love, but for me it's a classroom. You come in, you donate a certain amount for each video that we create, and you become a part of one of my students. I critique your work, we do monthly classes, and if we get more students in, we'll do more than monthly classes. But for right now, we're doing monthly classes with our two students. Let's go ahead and swap over into our screen and get this critique started, shall we? This is for Eddie Santiago the second, and as you can see here, we have a really great caricature that he definitely put his flair on, drawing the one, the only Will Smith. And I gotta say, he did a really excellent job on it. There's a few things I would suggest, but truth be told, Eddie's style is very Disney-esque. The original artwork that he showed me of his stuff is very Disney-esque and really fantastic stuff. I was very impressed with it, and I think that with a little bit of help, he can take his Disney-esque style and totally rip it into the world of caricature and create something very unique that people will want. You know what? All in all, as soon as you see the ears on this character that he drew, you can tell it's a Will Smith caricature in a heartbeat. Those ears are worth capturing, and I think he did a great job on the ears, and he got the right idea on the cheeks. There's some ideas that I would suggest, and we're going to talk about those here in today's video. Once again, a longer video for you folks, but I do hope that you enjoy it as we try to put in as much detail in this caricature as we can, in lines of, not detail per se, but detail in teaching how it could be improved. So let me go ahead and start here real quick by moving just a few things around and setting up our canvas. What I like to do is just create a white foreground over top the image and simply drop the opacity that we can see the image behind it and be able to draw over top. That's the easiest way to critique my students, and they don't seem to mind too much. So let me go ahead and grab a red here. I'm a teacher, so red mark. I get that right, don't I? Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and get right down to the nitty-gritty here. Line work looks really, really good. I'm very pleased with the line work. I told my students to focus really hardcore on getting better line quality. Line quality is a very key thing when it comes to caricature, when it comes to artwork in general. If you get your line quality improved, even better. Both of my students are drawing on iPads in Procreate. It's an amazing program, does absolutely fantastic when it comes to line work. I know that they're capable of doing great stuff. So in this image here, I see a couple things that would just help likeness, just get that likeness just a little bit tighter and have some fun with it. We might talk a little bit about exaggeration here, but I really want to lock down on pushing the likeness even further. What could have been hit that might have helped push this even more to look more like Will Smith, and that's what we're going to try and hit on here. So let me go ahead and turn this layer on here, and let's start right away with the eyes. I think the eyes are going to be, you know, obviously the windows to the soul, but the eyes are going to be a really key place where we can really focus in. So let me just move Will Smith here a little bit closer to us so we can get a little bit of a better look at his face. Now, the more you look at a celebrity's face, the more challenging they are to draw. So truth be told, one of the best things that you can do if you find yourself struggling is zoom out and look at their face from a really far ways away and focus on the things that help lock in their face. And one of the first things I see is his eyes and his ears, of course, and his smile and his nose. But the eyes really do have a little bit of a difference that really would help push this caricature. And this is the same thing we talked about in our last video. And also the first thing we talked about, I want to say in the first class that I did with my students. And that's the idea of how to create a smile. And if you don't have teeth, if you don't have other parts of the face, if you don't have eyebrows, how do you show a smile in the eyes? You show it with the bottom eyelid of the eye. So here's something that we could quickly do. I'm going to rotate the canvas here and zoom in on our Will Smith caricature here. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw right over top. Hopefully I got all my stuff right here. And one of the first things I would change here is just getting these eyes locked in a little bit more on Will Smith. And I think that he did a great job drawing the overall face. I think that the overall face has a great likeness for starters, but I think the first thing he could do would be to push this more enclosed eye. All right, to push that shut a little bit more and make it look like Will Smith is in this, you know, hidden, this pressed up eyelid look. That is going to be a big plus. And then in the same way, he can pull that bag up a little bit more. Now, you don't want to just draw a bag to draw a bag. There needs to be a reason why it's there. When you're considering it, you need to consider the form of the bag and what it is doing there on the eye. So pushing that up is going to be a key thing. Something else that's rather interesting is his eyelashes connect with his laugh lines, and there's a very dark area there. So pushing that and building the laugh lines off of that, if you choose to show age, that's going to be a key thing there as well. Same thing with the other side here. It's very much the same. Once again, trying to focus on doing this drawing in his style. I don't want to change the style. I only want to offer critique to help get the likeness better. So with his style in mind, push the eyelids up as much as possible. And then don't drop the bag down so low. Bring that bag in a more realistic form. Think about that shape that you're building there, and try to make it look like a laugh line. The bags don't need to look sleepy. They need to look like they're creating the form of the eye. Now, I see he's got the top thing here, the top eyelid, and he's got this shape going on here for the eyelid. But when I look at the eyelid on Will Smith, I do not see a fold to a fold. I don't see a crease to a crease. What I see is this very tightly close to the eye. And then as it comes to here, it will rotate forward. And yes, there will be extra shadow here, but it won't be pulled out. There's not another layer of skin on top of that. So I would not add that extra layer of skin, because doing this extra line, that's adding an extra layer of skin basically. You can do that maybe a slight bit. You know, I'll leave it there just a slight bit just to demonstrate that. Same thing with the other side. I think the shaping was good. I think that you could pull it a little bit closer to the eye and try and show that fold closer to the eye and push it just like that. I think that that's one of the first things that will help this caricature out a bit more to make it look a little bit more like Will Smith. Let me go ahead and put a little bit more on the picture here so that we can kind of see my sketch over top. Everything else so far looks really good. There's a few other things. Let's talk a little bit about the nose. I think he did a great job on the nose. I do. I do think that it could be exaggerated just a tiny bit more, because if we look at the nose that he's drawn, he did a great job on the nose, but the area of exaggeration is how much those nostrils lift up around that first part of the nose. So you could totally get away with drawing those nostrils up just a bit higher, because that is a great point of exaggeration for Will. So getting those nostrils to bend up just a little bit more and show the depth of that nose, I think would be a great thing to do. It's not a requirement, certainly. Remember, exaggeration is going to be on the side of the person creating. But I mean, look at how little I went up. The original line was right there, and I went up just in the slightest, and that really just exaggerates that nose form, and it shows Will's smile. When he smiles, his nostrils open up more, and I think it's a very key thing. In the original artwork, one of the things I see is that he's done a great job inventing the cheekbones from the outside, but not showing the strength of the cheeks from the inside. So you got this great form of the cheeks on the out, but right here, there's no laugh lines, and these laugh lines are very key for Will. So let's make sure we get those laugh lines in there. So coming right off that shape here, we can actually see several forms that would create that, and then build that off of the cheek form that you've created, and try to connect it, you know, but I mean, just make sure that you're doing it in such a way where it has the right flow. So here as well. And if you're trying to stick with the, you know, keep it simple style, then keep it simple, but make sure that you get those laugh lines in there. Let me see if I can simplify my laugh lines just a little bit so it's more keep it simple. So if anything, that top line is very prevalent there, coming off the top of his nostril as it takes that turn. Same with the other side, coming down the other way here. And then it's going to take that turn around to the cheekbone there. So, I mean, it's almost like a mask going over top the face when it comes to those cheeks. So you really want to make sure you get those popped in there the way you do. Now, another thing that you could do is you could make his eyes wider apart. If you're going to consider the bridge right here, you could push those eyes wider, and if not wider, then make them just a little bit longer, each of them. Spread them out just a little bit more. You could literally take his face, if you wanted to. Say I took this eye, and I could literally, whoa, I've never done that before. Let me undo that, and let me find my move tool. There we go. And we could literally grab the right layer. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay. So we could take this shows you what I know. Come on now. Let's play nice with me while I'm making a YouTube video that's going to go down in history as one of the best caricature tutorial guides ever known to man. Come on here. So we can take this eye and we could literally kind of move it outward a little bit, and I think that that would really help add to the caricature of Will. And on top of that, maybe just stretch out those eyes just a tiny bit wider. Now, why did I choose to move those eyes out a little bit wider? The main reason is because I want to look at that expanse between the nose here. That is a very, very wide bridge. Now, right here, let me see if I can actually go in here and draw on the image itself. Right here, yes, there's a very tiny, sharp point that is his, main bridge. But truth be told, the expanse from here to here is super wide. And so if you're going to exaggerate that nose expanse there, then you need to push the eyes to add to that expanse. So don't be afraid to move them out. And I think that immediately right there, if we turn off the background sketch, we don't have enough detail to really prove my point yet, but I think that that will add a lot to the character. I think if you're seeing it here on this sketch, it starts to feel just a tiny bit more like Will in that sense. Now let's go ahead and move on with the eyebrows here really quick. Great idea of chunking them in there like that. That's fine. The one thing I would suggest, if they're really black and dark, don't just chuck them in individually. At least draw a box around them to give them some form. Or create the form around them. My Disney instructors that I learned from, and they weren't Disney instructors, the company that I worked with at Disney, they taught, to work fast, especially in the world of caricature, fill it in. Just make it a black fill. Go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. If it looks like a thick eyebrow, just make it a big black fill, and so we can do that here as well, keeping in mind that shape, making sure that we're fitting the needs of that shape. And you could also move them up higher, too. So I'm going to go ahead and do this your way, to keep with the style that you have here. But you might want to try filling it in completely and see what you like. And honestly, this is a bit of my style, too. I don't usually fill everything in complete black. On the other eyebrow, this is an area that I think that we might have missed a small area of exaggeration, or at least getting that Will Smith style. Right here, if we look at the eyebrow, it comes like this, and it bounces up before it makes that turn. Okay, so that would have been a great place to exaggerate that form. Just blocking out this triangle shape is great, but you have a chance to do something fun here, I think. So if you were to exaggerate that form and build that out, that could be an area that will help people understand Will. And I mean, you could even do like a raised brow on top of that to kind of show that raised moment there. Okay, I think that would be a key thing that would help. I think if you just look at the red of that face right now, including everything that we're seeing here, I think you're starting to see Will just a little bit stronger in this caricature in this moment. And I think that that's really cool as we're moving forward here. And I think that there's one more area that we could have focused on, that you could focus on just a tiny bit more, and it would be the mouth. I think you did a great job drawing the teeth. I love the detail in the teeth. I think you did a great job drawing the lips. How you drew them, though, in lines of what direction they should have been, I think would have been a key thing here. Not everyone has lips that turn up. If you look at Will, first off, his teeth go way back. You can see way back into the back of, like, the last couple teeth in the back of the top of his teeth. So that's an area of exaggeration that you can have fun with. Secondly, his mouth turns down in his smile. His smile's more of a, it's pulled down on the sides. It's not raised up. So the way to pull that off is going to be to change your flow of this. So you're going to come like this. I mean, you're just basically trying to draw what you're seeing, what you see here, but draw it in reverse, okay? So you can still do your open mouth if you want the open mouth concept. Go for that. There's nothing wrong with that. And then build exactly like you did. I think you nailed the teeth design structure, at least at first. And so once you get these first couple teeth in here, and you think about the black fill on that far side, then you can start designing out your teeth once again. And I'm just going to do your exact same teeth that you did, because I think you nailed it there. But then I'm going to continue those teeth down and further on back. And I'm going to push them back into the mouth a little bit more. Okay, and then right here at the end, his mouth doesn't like fully close. It kind of opens to a larger gap down here, kind of like that. And so what we can do is we can remove my little line here, and you can create that form there. And I think right there, I really feel like you can really start to see his likeness in that just a little bit more. And on top of that, here's the thing. If we look at the bottom of his mouth, you can see one or two little teeth hiding just barely underneath the main teeth here. So you can see these bottom row of teeth ever so slightly there behind the lip. So for me personally, I would cheat and I would just go ahead and add in some bar teeth in the back. I wouldn't even try and draw them. I would just, and when I say bar teeth, what I'm basically meaning is simply just adding in just a row of white there, and it makes it look really clean because you're not trying to put in individual markings of teeth. If you want to, you can, but I don't think that they're as necessary in this. And truth be told, if you're trying to make his exact smile there, then you're going to erase some of this and you're simply going to close it up a little bit more. So let me try and close it up ever so slightly more here while my computer thinks. Why is my computer still thinking? Come on, you. I think I might have hit undo back a bit too many times. There we go. So you can simply just close that mouth up just a little bit tighter here, and maybe even do some shading on those bottom teeth so that they look like they're going into shadow. You got the lips right. I think you nailed the lips, so I'm not worried about your lips there. You have the idea about how to draw the lips right. I think you nailed that. Bottom lip, I think you nailed that right too, so you just go ahead and draw that in there just fine. And then all in all, the rest of your face is really great. Now, if you're going for his old Prince look, Prince of Bel-Air kind of look, then you got what you're looking for in that haircut, because that was his Prince of Bel-Air haircut. If you're going for this one here, not so much. I would round out that head. But and truth be told, I think this looks really good. I think if you had just made a couple of those changes, and honestly, as I'm looking at the smile as I drew it here, I would think about maybe even taking the smile just a tiny bit wider. I think I would. I really can't tell. So, if I'm pulling this down here, I'm going to pull the mustache down here a little bit with it. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I would adjust it ever so slightly, but not by much. But right there, I really feel like we got a better likeness. I would change the teeth up just, you know what, now that I'm noticing this, I would change the teeth up a little bit. His two main teeth here are really, really tall teeth. Okay, not so much wide. They're really tall. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We got room for 4 here. So if we want to go ahead and be a bit more precise on teeth, if you're going to put the detail into the teeth, let's go ahead and focus on those a little bit more, just for giggles. Just so we can really hammer down this likeness even a little bit tighter. So what we can do is we can erase what we got here, and let's go ahead and just make these teeth just a bit taller. Not by much. They don't need to be super tall. But if you're going off of an image, you need to count the teeth and kind of make sure you have a good count. So let's go 1, 2, about like that. Still using that smile as a great place to exaggerate. So 2, and then 3 as it comes around here, and then 4. And what I'm going to do to create number 4 is I'm simply going to erase out of the dark to create number 4. And what I can also do is I can create the shape and then create the tooth of number 4 in the backdrop there. And actually, I would drop all the teeth down. I'm drawing them up too high. I'm drawing them going up into the mouth, where if you're looking at this picture, they're not going up. They're going back. So I'm drawing too much, trying to take the teeth up into the mouth, when really what I should be doing is bringing the edge of the mouth here down even more to compensate for that. So maybe what you would do instead is you would bring this mouth down a bit more here, and then you would continue to draw your teeth back here, but you wouldn't actually show the bottom of the teeth per se. And then we can go ahead and put in a gum, another gum, another gum, and then some black in here to kind of fill that out. So maybe that, yeah, I feel like that's kind of pulling that a little bit better there. I'm not sure. And it's really confusing, guys, admittedly, drawing over someone else's drawing and trying to see your drawing in comparison to theirs when you're drawing right over top of it. So hopefully it makes a little bit more sense on what I'm saying here. Here I can now change the gum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can go 1 and erase this right here. Going back there we go. Also can erase a lot of my black here and can build it out this way now. And actually right there, that does look like Will. I can see the smile now a little better than I did before. So 1, 2, okay, the third one is about here, 3, 4. All right, we might only get away with 5 here, 5 and 6. I'll squeeze it in there. And then we'll create the form of the teeth there. That one's a little bit smaller than the others. Believe it or not, getting exact teeth is kind of an important thing if you're going to choose to draw teeth, and making sure, because and the edge of a tooth, making a tooth look sharp or not, really will make some of the difference when it comes to a final piece. So if you're going to draw the teeth and you're not going to draw them as bar teeth like I so often do, then you're going to have to make a couple adjustments to really pull that off. I think those are the key things that I would adjust to really pull off this Will Smith caricature. I think he did a great job. There's just a couple things that would have pushed it a little bit further. And if it wasn't supposed to be a simple caricature, I think that there's even a few more things that really build out his face, but I'm not going to worry about that because that is not your style, and I think that the style that you have going on here is pretty awesome, and I don't want to change you from it. Really quickly, when it comes to shading, let's go ahead and just hop over to the original artwork here. I'm going to make another layer on top of this artwork, and I just want to quickly talk about shading and the importance of some of the shading that you did. Love the shading around the nose. I think you did great around there. I think that's proper. I think you've created good shape. I think that you didn't use your highlights enough, or you didn't blend them enough. I think you could have taken that a bit further. But let's go ahead really quickly here and just talk a little bit about how you can sharpen some of this stuff up. And this is the technique that I've taught you guys every time in all of my videos here. What I do is I go into my layers and I select one and I turn it to multiply. I go and I select a maroon color because that's just the quickest way to get a caricature done. And the first thing I would do is I would put a hard shadow on Will's nose here. So let's go ahead and put a hard shadow on Will's nose. So let me go ahead and grab this and pull this out here. Just think about where the shaping of the nose is, just like that. That right there is going to be a big proper push, and I'm going to line the bottom of the nose as well, just like this. I think that's really going to do a really good push right there. Secondly, the laugh line coming down is going to be another key thing where you can definitely help push a little bit using shadow. The bottom of the cheek is going to be another key place. And what you're going to do to fix that so it's not so bold is you'll blend out the top half of that. I'll show you that in just a half a second here. Now I'm doing this quickly, and I don't mean to go quite this fast, but I am doing this quickly to wrap up my video here. But you can see my bottom lip area here could use some shading. The sides of the cheeks coming down here like this could use some shading, and then the insides of the ear, usually you'd want to put a little inside the inner ear area here. And I like to put a little bit on the bottom of the ears as well. Depending on how far you want to add shading, you might want to consider going down the side of the face here to help build off a little bit of that that side feature there. That's up to you. And then, like you already did here, I think you did a great job with this. You got this really nice hard edge coming up here, and then you have it all nice and blended through there. I think you did great at that. I'm not going to touch that. What I do now is I take that multiply layer and I simply drop it down until it starts to feel like a shadow. and feel like it's supposed to be there. And then, like I said, to blend, you can blend very easily in Procreate, which I know is the program that my students are using. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my blending tool and just blend in the bottom or the top of that, just like you've already done, to keep that sharp for the laugh lines and just get this really nice little flow to cut into the lower part of the face. I think that's really going to help you out there a little bit more to sharpen up those shadows. You need to remember anything close to doing a cast shadow is going to be a really hard shadow. Anything that is gradiented or rounded is going to have a very soft shadow. And then finally, let's quickly talk about the idea of highlights. Highlights are a technical thing. They're a bit more challenging how you do them. I personally kind of cheat. I use a yellow-white. And what I'll do is I'll go into my layer here and I'll set it to add glow. Now that's going to be different in Procreate. I think it's just called add in Procreate. And what I will do is I will draw with my pen. I will draw in areas of highlight where I want them. So I know that I'm going to have some highlights here. Obviously here on the cheeks, I'm definitely going to have some pretty intense highlight. And then on the area of the forehead, I might have some highlight. In this case, just to keep things simple, because usually I'll then grab my blending tool and start blending it all around, I'm just going to grab my airbrush and do the exact same effect with my airbrush as best I can. And what I'll do here, just to play it safe, is I'll go into my settings and I will drop my opacity way down, or my brush density in the case of this program, and just very gently build it up a little bit by little bit. Because if you push too hard, it's quite an intensive glow. But just a little bit of, you know, airbrushing or retoning in these areas can make all the difference. And I'll even go as far as to add it to the roundness of the bags under the eyes, because the bags are rolling. They're a gradiented form, and there's an area that's being hit by the sun. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're getting that. Same with the tops of the ears. Those are an area that get hit by the sun a lot. Have you ever had a great day out in the sun and then you got yourself a sunburn on your ears? Well, think about why that is. They're faced more towards the light than many of the other features of your face. Forehead, build that up there a little bit, and just pay attention to areas where sun might hit, okay? And just knock in just a little bit of light. I mean, even that alone really can make all the difference. And then if you feel like you've overdone it, simply drop your opacity on that layer until you feel like you have the right amount of highlight. And airbrushing is a wonderful thing, but remember, in the same way that there are hard shadows, there's also hard highlights. Take a look at my forehead right here and see this very hard highlight coming off of my light behind my head here. So in the same way, if you're using perspective lighting, one thing that I love to do that's a ton of fun, and I'm going to wrap up this video with this, is I will use maybe an airbrush, maybe a hard light. I love adding a rim light, and a rim light is going to be like this. We'll build up our density here quite a bit actually, and then all I'm going to do is just pick an area and build this wonderful little simple rim light off of here. Now one thing that helps is to have that everything separated on layers. I'm obviously drawing just generically on a picture, but you can see just like that, it looks different and it pops. It's kind of fun, and you can add this rim light in fun little places and fun little ways, and it just kind of makes the artwork pop a little bit and adds a lot of extra little features to it. And then finally, maybe if you want, Will Smith has got some kind of really high point highlights that you can do, and once again, just kind of pick those points and just put in a couple dots on his face here in the areas where those high points are, and that's just going to kind of help add to the overall look. And then once again, you can control that down, chill that out with just by changing your layer opacity over here on the side. And that's going to work in Procreate. That's going to work in Clip Studio Paint Pro on your iPad. It's going to work on here on the computer, no matter what it is. But that would be my suggestions to you of things that you can do to get Will's likeness just a little bit more on top when it comes to that caricature. If you guys liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and also consider joining our class and becoming a Patreon student. It's only $10, and you only have to support one video a month. You can support as many videos as you want, but you only need to support one video a month at $10, and it is super helpful for me. Helps me pay a couple bills, and then at the same time, it allows me to spend a little extra time with you guys. Once a month, we do a class. We're about to set up our next class that's going to happen this month here in January, and then we're going to have a great class, and it's going to turn into a mentorship. At a certain point in time, I will have taught everyone who needed to be taught what they needed to know, and move on to younger students. But those people that are still subscribed, they can come to me, ask me anything, get critiques on anything. I will do the same thing that I've done here and be able to help you guys push your artwork the way it needs to be so you can get a better likeness and start making some sales. Believe it or not, if you are inspired to do this, you can sell your caricatures and actually make money. This is the main way that my business right now makes money. I sell caricatures like this. And this class that I'm doing here, I'm only making 20 bucks a month right now. But that's the point. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to grow, and you look for little different places where you can get those little different bits of money until you can support yourself. And a caricature is something that you can do. It's a ton of fun to do, and you can charge a decent price for it, and you can have a lot of fun doing it, and you can bless something with a really cool either gift or a really cool product that you sold to them. All right, there you go, guys. It's as simple as that. That is another one of our videos right here on my channel. I hope that you liked it. We will see you next time right here on my channel, and I really hope you consider subscribing and becoming a part of the family and getting involved in the classes. We'll see you next time. The link is in the description below to the Patreon class. Join in, and we'll see you on our Discord when we have our next class. Take care. Bye.